Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me or who I haven't gotten a chance to speak with yet, my name is Madison McQuary. So today I'm going to be talking about styling outfits for photo shoots. But a little bit about me. So I'm a full-time college student at St. Houston State University. I'm getting my degree in Family and Consumer Science, which is like home ec. And then my minor is education, so I'll eventually teach Family and Consumer Science in high schools. But apart from being a college student, I'm also a blogger. So I've had a blog. My blog is called Minnie, Muse, and I've had that for the past 3 years. So it's kind of a vintage-inspired lifestyle fashion blog. Sometimes my outfits look like they're from the 1950s. Some days they're kind of a modern twist on vintage. And then also a lot of things that I get to sew myself or thrifted pieces and all of that stuff. And then also you might have noticed in the bio, I also have an Etsy shop. I've been running that since the end of last summer. And I sell midi skirts like this. This is one of them. And so that's just been really fun. Today's presentation on styling outfits for photo shoots is very near and dear to my heart because not only do I style things for my Etsy shop, but on a daily basis, I'm kind of the person who dresses for every occasion. So I'm constantly thinking through what I want to wear, what kind of story I want to tell, and just thinking through all of the logistics of that. But then also in regards to my blog, for me, styling things for different posts is very much like a production of thinking through the story I want to tell, and we're going to talk about that today. So if you ever want to look me up and kind of see all the things I do, that's my blog address. That you can find me on Instagram for my blog and kind of my personal account, and then Etsy, and I also have an Instagram for my Etsy shop. But that's a little bit about me, but on to what we're talking about today. So a quick quote I wanted to share. This is by Coco Chanel, and she says, "Fashion is not something that exists in dresses only. Fashion is in the sky, in the street. Fashion has to do with ideas, the way we live, and what is happening." I really love this quote because while sometimes we might be focused on maybe the trends or specific pieces, for me, fashion is so much more about saying something, so much more about ideas and kind of presenting who I am and what I love kind of with what I wear. So a side note, if you see all the little pink hearts throughout the presentation, those are just tidbits of information or little hints to add to the stuff I'm already talking about. So one more thing, styling an ensemble is more than just putting different pieces of clothing together. It's about telling a story by combining various components to create a cohesive and creative vision. And this is very much my mindset in regards to being a blogger, being an Etsy owner, and just being a person who's really passionate and who really loves fashion. Is just creating things with different elements and pieces. And I really love that we got to learn all the elements and principles of design because I'm going to hit on that a little bit in today's presentation, so now you already have a foundation and background for it. But there are 8 key components that I'm going to talk about today. So when Leah emailed me and asked if I wanted to present, I started thinking about everything that goes into styling outfits for a photo shoot or just styling outfits for yourself. And so when I started thinking through all of the steps I kind of go through, these are the 8 key components that I came up with. There is a fill in the blank in your binders and notebooks, I think. So there's a section to list out all of these, and then there's also blanks to put your own little notes, and there's a specific just plain notes section. So the 8 key components that kind of jumped in my mind in regards to this are first and foremost vision. And we're going to go into detail about all of these. But vision is what is the story. Setting, so that's kind of my backdrop to the vision. Determining a focal point, so my main piece. Mix and match, so this is playing with combinations. Layering it, so this is maybe adding a jacket, a sweater, a shirt, all those different things. Utilizing accessories and props. Posing, giving personality or emotion to a picture or to an ensemble, and then have fun with it, because if you can't have fun, you're not going to enjoy what you're doing. So, does everyone have those written down? Just kind of tell me when you're done, so that I can go on. And then components deal with both the art of photography and fashion, so while I am talking about styling outfits as a whole, if you're doing it for a photo shoot, I'm going to hit on some of the key points for photography also. So, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I think we've all heard that phrase a lot. And so, styling an outfit in order to capture it in a still life form, you kind of want to tell a story, you want to say something with that. So a complex idea can be conveyed with just a single still image, namely making it possible to absorb a theme, message, or a quick story. So fashion is a component of pictures, especially if you're a business owner or you're going out to do a photo shoot. So I put this picture as an example just because I thought it was really fun with all the different elements to it, and it kind of makes you think about all these different ideas. So if someone wants to shout something out or share something, I just put the question of what is this picture saying? And if you don't have any ideas, I can throw some things out there.
Summer.
Definitely, yeah, there's so many colors going on. I really love this. Anyone else?
It's playful.
Definitely, yeah. This picture kind of combines a lot of the different components that I was talking about. It definitely has a vision, it has a setting, the whole look of the ensemble kind of goes with the whole vision and setting, and it goes really well together, and it kind of makes you feel really happy and definitely like summertime. Okay, so this is something that I say all the time on my blog. It's kind of like my own personal quote in regards to fashion. But I always say that fashion and style have the magic and power to transport you to any place in a language louder than words. Because for me, especially being a college student, if you see me on campus, you'll probably know it's me because I'm wearing a dress or a skirt or look completely different than everyone else who's wearing t-shirts and sports shorts and tennis shoes. And so I've come across so many people who know exactly the type of person I am just because of how I dress. They know that I'm old-fashioned. They kind of know my standards and maybe viewpoints on life just because of how I dress, and that I kind of am different than other people. And so that's why I always say that fashion just has a really, really loud language, and it's louder than words. But also that it has the magic and power to transport you to any place, because I'm always the person who's thinking of, oh, today I want to go to Paris, so I'm going to kind of dress with a Paris theme. And so that's something that really inspires me. So we're going to go on to our very first component, and this is vision. I think this is definitely the foundation for creating a look, or definitely going out to do a photo shoot. Because if you don't have a vision, you're not going to know what you want to capture. So with a vision, you can kind of ask yourself 4 questions. So ask yourself, what is the story? What kind of story do I want to tell? What are you trying to say? So maybe rather than telling a story, you're trying to make a really good key point. What's your inspiration? So we talked about in the session right before this, getting inspired by the things around you. So your vision could be inspired by just an idea in your head. It could be inspired by a movie, by songs, by a picture, maybe by other fashions that you see other people wearing, or colors, or trends, or fabrics, or all those different things. So what's inspiring you with this vision, and then also what are you about? And so I put that in there because I think there's something that we're all passionate about. One, definitely modesty, and so working that into our vision. But then you personally might have something that you are really inspired about, and so working that into your vision as well. So in order to begin talking about styling outfits for photo shoots, you have to start with your overall vision, because this is going to kind of drive everything else. So once you have your vision, you can kind of start putting things into place, and it all just falls together. So that is all for vision. So once you answer these key questions, you can begin working with a cohesive idea that will influence everything else, especially styling. So before you even go out to do a photo shoot, before you put an outfit together, you might want to think about what's your vision, so that you actually kind of have something to run with. So after all the key components, I'm going to show a lot of different examples just to emphasize this. So vision. This vision is a picture from one of my blog posts, and my vision for it was elegant Parisian style. So that is the vision that I was actually able to capture. So this is a white lacy shirt, and I received it from a company, and as soon as I got it, I just thought of Paris, because Paris is, I feel like their fashion is very simple, but it's also very ladylike and classic, and so I kind of wanted to implement that into my photo shoot. And the reason why I picked the pink flowers as my background is because I know of at least 3 other fashion designers who either live in Paris or have traveled to Paris, and they took photo shoots in front of the Eiffel Tower by these pink flowers. And so every time I see those flowers, I think of Paris. And so I was able to put together this entire vision inspired by my own view of Paris and Paris style, but also inspired by other fashion bloggers and how they kind of interpreted those fashions in that country for themselves. And that was kind of my inspiration. So this is Jenny of Margot and Me, and this is when she traveled to Paris. And so her blog post kind of inspired my Paris blog post. And this is Rebecca of A Clothes Horse, and I put that in there as an example for vision because I think it is a really great example of giving this vision of summertime and going out to garden and springtime and all the flowers, just in how she's dressed, in her setting, and her props, and also in the coloring. It's just really light and colorful and really inspiring. So our second key component is our setting. So once we have our vision, then you can kind of think through, where should I go and take pictures that's actually going to put myself into the setting of the story that I'm trying to tell. So some questions to ask yourself is maybe what setting or background fits your vision? Where can I take pictures, obviously? And so then when thinking through that, think, do I want to be in the city or the country? Do I want to be a fancy setting, a casual setting, urban? Think through all of those things in regards to your vision. And then where do you need to be to tell the story? So that definitely points back to your setting. So once you answer these questions, you can begin working with a cohesive idea that will influence everything else, especially styling. So sometimes you might already have an outfit in your head, and then you work kind of backwards to your setting and your vision. But a lot of times if you don't have an idea, if you can start out with the vision and then add the setting to it, then the outfit will actually come from that. Okay, so this setting was the library, and I picked the library because it fit with my vision of a scholarly theme. And then it fit the style because I was wearing a plaid skirt, I wore a white button-up, and a blue cardigan. And so to me that was super scholarly. I call it my teacher outfit, and so I thought a library would be the perfect setting for it. And so I actually got to work with a photographer at school, and we went to the library one day and we took pictures, and it was super fun because I was able to see my vision and setting kind of come together. And so that was a really fun shoot that I got to do. And so that just kind of goes to show you, once you have this vision, you can kind of add your setting to it. Okay, some other examples. I'm using these 2 bloggers again, but their photography is just incredible. And so I love this for setting because she chose her setting, to me, based off of her dress. A setting that really complemented it. She chose a setting that had a yellow background, which really makes her dress stand out because of all of its colors and its print. And it's just also kind of takes you to another country, takes you to this idea of traveling in the summertime. And then again with this one, I love the setting. You can't really tell on her dress, but her dress has clothespins on it, which is super cool. And so she chose, I'm going to do a setting where I'm doing laundry. And so she took this whole idea and created her setting around what she was actually wearing, which I thought was super creative and really awesome. Okay, number 3, our focal point or emphasis. This is a principle of design, like we talked about earlier. And so sometimes when you go to do a photo shoot, you may not really care if you have a set thing that is the focus. But if you're a designer and you're trying to sell a piece that you designed or created or something from your shop, you kind of want to have a focal point of your image. So let's say you sew dresses and you sell them. So those dresses are kind of going to be the focal point of your pictures because that's the thing that you want to market and sell. So asking yourself, what is the main element of your look? So like for me today, my skirt kind of is the main element. But for you, it might be a blouse is the main element, and kind of having the eye being drawn to that in the entire look and in the photo shoot. So are you focusing on a skirt, on a dress, etc.? And then also maybe you're focusing on accessories. So whenever I put together a blog post, I always take pictures of my entire outfit, but I take pictures of all the different components. So I'll take pictures of my shoes, take pictures of the purse I'm using if I really like it, take pictures of my jewelry. So sometimes in your photo shoots, you could just choose to focus on different elements of the entire look so that people can maybe see more details. Or even if you're someone who designs accessories or sells purses or headbands, focusing in on that opposite of the entire look itself. So is the focal point a print or a pattern? Because depending on what you make or what you're wearing, it's going to be different things. So the focal point is what the eye is drawn to in the picture. So it's important that the setting doesn't take away from the focal point. So that's really important, especially if you have a printed dress. Having a really busy background sometimes can really take away from that, and then the eye is just wandering and it doesn't focus in on the dress. And so people will kind of get distracted. And so the focal point is definitely sometimes our emphasis if we're going for that. So the focal point in this picture that I'm going to show in a minute is a blue and white printed dress. And I think this is a really great example of a focal point because while her background is very unique, it has colors. Immediately my eye is drawn to her dress because it has a really unique pattern, and then it also has those pops of blue which really just stand out from everything around her. So that's a really great example of working with the setting but still having the dress be the main focal point. Okay, two other examples. So in this example, I thought that the skirt is really the focal point of this piece, especially because it has movement, and so your eye is drawn to that movement, which you don't always see in pictures, and also the background really doesn't take away from it. And then for this picture, I thought the stripes on her shirt are definitely one of the main focal points because everything else about her look is really simple and plain, and the background is fairly plain, even though it has the blue doors that kind of draw you into the blue jeans, but the stripes are definitely a main part of that. But any questions before we go on? Because sometimes I just like talk and then people like don't get to ask questions. So if you have something, just raise your hand or just shout it out. Like I totally don't mind at all for any of these things. So just let me know. Okay, number 4, mixing and matching. I think this is one of the sometimes most challenging things because sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone. So a lot of times people kind of shy away from mixing and matching prints and textures. But when it comes to styling an outfit, mixing and matching is one of the #1 tools for doing something different than everybody else. Because when it comes time to styling something for a photo shoot, you want to style it in a way that people have never seen before. So you kind of want to inspire them with ideas of putting this top with this skirt because it's something that they've never seen. And so mixing and matching is a really great way to do that. So you're the artist, you're the designer, you're the person who's putting the fashion, the photo shoot together. So you have complete creative license to do whatever you want, even if people think that you're completely crazy and what you're doing doesn't go together. You're the artist, so you can kind of choose. If you love it, then go with it. So theoretically, there's no rules. Sometimes you will put pieces together that aren't going to match, and you realize that once you style them, so you can kind of go in a different direction. But a lot of times there's things that really do go together. And so there's actually 3 different pairings that for the most part, 95% of the time, always work well together. So dots and stripes definitely always go together. You might think that they don't, but a lot of times they really do, especially if you go for like a black and white striped shirt and a black and white polka dot skirt. You get a monochromatic look, so it still kind of goes and really well together. But then the polka dots and the stripes are actually kind of balance each other out, even though it might seem really busy. The #1 pairing that always goes well together is florals and stripes, because I love this. I love to wear striped shirts and floral skirts. If you have a floral skirt in your closet, basically any striped shirt is going to go with it. So if you don't want to wear like a plain white shirt with a floral skirt, always go with stripes, because stripes are basically kind of a neutral, in my opinion. And then prints and textures. So if you don't want to be so bold as to mix and match different prints, you can go for a print and a texture. So you can go for a floral blouse and a leather skirt, or a floral blouse and a lace skirt. And that still adds a really good bit of contrast without it being 2 completely different prints. But even though I said there's theoretically no rules, kind of keep in mind not to go overboard and crazy. So I kind of like to have the rule of never using more than 3 patterns or prints at a time, just so that it won't overwhelm. And then mix accessories with styles also. So rather than just maybe putting a plain brown purse with a look, use like a novelty purse. And that kind of adds in some fun at mixing and matching of different things. Yeah.
Hey Madison,
Yes.
one thing that I've noticed is sometimes things look different in person as opposed to when things are taken in a photo. Have you found like a good rule of thumb to sort of take that into account before you get out to your photo shoot?
I think maybe for me, is always like playing around in my room and like looking in the mirror and like seeing what goes well together. I guess that's probably my rule of thumb.
Okay.
It's just like pairing different things up, looking in the mirror and seeing if it looks okay. But definitely sometimes you might get the pictures back and you really don't like it, so you're gonna have to do it over again. But if you like it to begin with, then sometimes usually it'll come out like in the picture, so yeah. Okay, so this example is stripes and polka dots. And this example actually has 2 different colors, so sometimes think about complementing colors. These colors actually aren't complementary, but it is blue and red, which are 2 of the primary colors, and blue and red kind of usually go really well together. So this is a picture from my shop. So I had a red and white polka dot skirt, and I love polka dots, I love stripes, so why not pair them together? And I love blue and I love red paired together, so I just ran with it. And it works pretty well together, like red, white, and blue. Those are American colors. I feel like all the time, they just go well. And so I paired a blue and white striped shirt with the red and white polka dot skirt. And it's a really nice contrast. It's a really nice mix and match. It kind of shows something that someone maybe might not necessarily always pair together, but kind of gives you an idea of, oh, maybe I can try that next time when I pull out my polka dot skirt. And then 2 other examples. So that one seems really busy, like the contrast of the picture is really weird, but she's wearing 2 different patterns of polka dot. So the blouse is a big polka dot print and the skirt is a small polka dot print. And I thought that was really cool because sometimes you can stick with one print, but you change up the different sizing of it. And so that's another principle of design, is like size and scale. So sometimes you could have a white print striped top and then a small print striped skirt. And it still kind of goes together if you just focus in on making sure that colors aren't too crazy. And this is Lauren of Chic Ethnique. She's one of my blogger friends, and I love this ensemble that she put together recently. She made this skirt out of a rifle paper co fabric, which is amazing, just so pretty. And then she paired it with the striped top, which I just thought was so great together. I love her pairing of that. So those are 2 examples of how you can kind of mix and match things. Okay, layering it. So this is kind of something outside of your comfort zone a little bit too sometimes. We're already pretty familiar, like putting sweaters over dresses or tops, but sometimes you can go even more creative. So take a style to another level by adding a second dimension through layering. So that's one reason why I really love using layering to change up a look, to change up how I style something, because it adds a second dimension. So rather than just wearing a sweater, I'm going to add like a different layer to it. So if a look seems boring, maybe try adding a cardigan or a sweater, a trench coat, a denim jacket, a scarf, etc. All of those things. And then play with your layering options, such as a sweater over a button-up, a jacket over a graphic t-shirt, a sweater over a dress, etc. So 2 examples. This spring Old Navy, I really love their spring collection. But I was at the store one day, and like on their windows they always have pictures of like models wearing different pieces from the store, but they're always styled in a way that you typically don't see. And so they had this heather gray sweatshirt that said Bon Voyage on it in like raised lettering, and they styled it over a floral button-up, which I'd never seen before, and I thought that's so cool because you never thought about taking a sweatshirt and putting it over a button-up. So I had to buy the sweatshirt to wear it and style it together. And I have an example on here, and I styled it over a different print, but But I thought that was so cool because we always think of sweatshirts as being, like lounging clothes, but they dressed it up immediately by putting it over a floral button-up. And then they also had one style which wasn't very logical for Texas weather, but it was a button-up shirt, a regular denim jacket, and then a pink denim jacket over it, which we would dye a heat stroke in. But I thought that was really cool because you never see it styled that way. And so I think when it comes to fashion, while I love the process of taking from an idea to a design and to a product and actually producing it, I think another really cool key component of the fashion industry is the creativity of stylists, because they take an item that a designer has made and they style it in a way that inspires people and that makes people kind of want to buy it because they think, oh, that's different than my typical everyday look. And so I think that's one really cool component of styling, is that you have the power to influence people based on how you pair things together. Okay, so this is an example of adding a denim jacket to give the look more dimension. I use denim jackets a lot over dresses, especially if you have kind of maybe a dressy sundress. If you put a denim jacket over it, you can take the look from church to brunch or lunch out with friends. And so this is a striped skirt with a gray kind of mock neck turtleneck, which works really well together, but then I added the denim jacket, and so it completely added a different dimension. And then another thing I love to do in the fall and winter is layer socks with my boots. So my ankle boots, I never wear shorty socks. I always wear fun socks that stick out. And so layering doesn't just have to be centered and focused on fashion. It can be focused on your shoes too. Or if you're wearing riding boots, wear really fun socks with those that show. Okay, so this is a sweatshirt that I got, and I didn't have a floral button up, but I had a checked gingham one. And so I put the sweatshirt over that button up, and it just made a really, really fun look. And then this is an example from Daphne of Mode in the City. She lives in Paris, so all of her photo shoots are just amazing. But she chose to add a really fun jacket with her look. So she could have just worn the white blouse and the red skirt, but she added a jacket, so it added this really fun layering dimension. Okay, 6, accessories or props. When it comes to a photo shoot, you can definitely be a lot more creative in regards to accessories or props on a typical day-to-day basis. We might grab a necklace, a pair of sunglasses, and a purse. When it comes to a photo shoot, since you're really wanting to tell a story, I rely a lot on props. And props also help sometimes the person who's being photographed feel more comfortable. So accessories add to the theme of the ensemble look. So if you're you have this vision in your head, you're trying to tell a story, you're focused around a certain theme, you kind of want to pull in props. Think about a play. If they did a play without any props, you sometimes might lose out on parts of the story because you don't have the props that add to it. And so props are definitely a really cool thing in regards to doing a photo shoot because they add so much to the story. And so when someone sees that picture, they know, oh, that's the theme in the story you were going for. That's really cool. So props also help the model to be more comfortable. So whenever I go out and take pictures for my blog, every photo shoot is just about kind of telling a story sometimes, and you will never ever find me just standing there. I'm either holding a book, holding a bouquet of flowers, or holding a purse, because it makes me feel more comfortable and gives me something to do with my hands. And I've learned that tip from a lot of other bloggers, that they always say, always have a purse or something to do with your hands, because otherwise you just feel super awkward, and then it shows in your pictures, it shows in your face, and how you're standing, and your continence, all of those things. So props can be props that could be a magazine, a book, a teacup, an umbrella, whatever prop you want to add to help tell your story. But then props can also be accessories, like a purse, sunglasses, a scarf, all of those different things. But just a rule of thumb, never use more than 2 props at a time and no more than 3 accessories. So let's say you're going with this whole adventure theme, and I kind of have an example in 2 slides, I think. We're going with an adventure theme, so maybe you want to have a bicycle, a backpack, a bouquet of flowers, and sunglasses. Well, your backpack and your sunglasses are your accessories, and those are just 2 things, so they really aren't too crazy and distracting. And then you have a bicycle and a bouquet of flowers, so you can put your bouquet of flowers like if your bicycle had a basket in the front. And so that helps tell your story, and you have 2 accessories and 2 props, but it's not completely overwhelming. So some examples. So adding purses or flowers gives you something to do with your hands. So this is an example from my blog, and I used flowers and a purse, and it gave me something to do with my hands so that I didn't feel awkward and that the picture didn't come out with me looking super awkward. And so I utilize those all the time. But some different examples. So I was talking about the adventure theme. So she has a bicycle, and then she has like the backpack and the bicycle. And so that kind of adds to her like whole story and what she's wanting to say. And this is a really fun shoot. Very 1950s, you see all of the different accessories from that time period. Her hat, her gloves, her purse, and then she also chose to use a Life magazine, which really draws you into that era and helps tell the story. And then these are some really great examples too. She has flowers, she has a hat, and she has a purse. So it kind of just helps the look be more fun, there be more elements to it, and then also gives her something to do with her hands. Let's go on. The next section is posing. So while we're talking about styling outfits for photo shoots, if you're going out to do a photo shoot, I think you always have to hit on posing, because I think that's one of the toughest things when it comes to a photo shoot. Sometimes you might work with people who are very comfortable in front of the camera, and you don't have to tell them what to do. They just pose because they are just comfortable, they have ideas, and you can just shoot pictures. But sometimes you might be working with people, or maybe you personally are the model, and you really don't know what to do, and so you kind of just have to like fumble through it, and maybe your first time doing a photo shoot you really don't like the pictures because you're kind of struggling with posing. But after a while it becomes more comfortable because you kind of figure out what works. But I love posing in regards to photo shoots because it conveys a personality or an emotion. So if we're trying to tell a story, we want posing that kind of adds to that and adds personality to it and kind of draws us in to feel like maybe we know the person or know the story being told, or can kind of feel the emotions from it. So it yields more to the story or vision. It makes the outcome or the story more natural. It helps the model or you feel more comfortable. And it incorporates accessories or props into posing. So if you're using accessories or props, utilize those for posing. So if you have a purse, maybe like hook your thumb in the purse. If you have flowers, you can pretend to smell them or hold them in a unique way. If you have a book, pretend you're reading the book. So just incorporate those into posing and kind of makes it feel more natural, maybe a little bit more candid. And then I think of 4 different components, or kind of maybe 3, when it comes to posing. So there's action, so this is maybe your walking poses, twirling. There's stationary, where you're in one place but you can do something different than just standing there. There's distance, which is where you can kind of convey distance in your pictures, so the photographer might be farther away, or the picture is taken from a lower or higher angle. And so posing really plays into that story. So this example is an action example, but it's also a very natural pose because it almost looks candid. So Olivia is really great about doing action posing and very candid pictures, but I think if she wasn't posed this way, sometimes the picture might look a little forced, but because of how she's just really free on movement, it gives a lot of her pictures a very candid feel, and maybe as if she didn't really pose it, but it just looks really good and flattering. Yes?
I've noticed a lot of the photographs you're using, the model's not making direct eye contact with the camera.
Yeah.
Do you find on like a consumer level that helps you connect more with the product? Because my theory is sort of like if I'm not seeing her face, like I'm able to transpose myself more into that than if it's definitely her, if that makes sense.
That's really great. I like that. I think probably because a lot of the pictures I was using are from blogs, so it's not necessarily like they're focusing on a specific product, although sometimes they're focusing on a brand. I find for me, sometimes looking in the camera makes me feel awkward. So a lot of times I won't make direct eye contact, so I think that's just up to you. But that is a really great point of if you're not focusing on the camera, the person who's seeing the picture wouldn't necessarily be like drawn in focus to it. So I think that is kind of up to you and how you feel, how it portrays the most for the pictures you're trying to take, or in regards to your brand or your design and that kind of thing. So yeah, great question. Okay, some more examples. So this middle one is definitely like a walking example. I love doing walking action poses. This first one is fun because it's not your typical, I mean, she's like sitting on a fence, she's not standing there. So I feel like that really plays into like this fun, carefree, laid back story. And the other example is really fun because she's utilizing props. She's utilizing like a coffee cup and a newspaper, and so it really plays into those things in the story, and I feel like she definitely feels comfortable being photographed in that. So any questions so far? Okay, last, have fun with it. Like I said at the beginning, if you can't like have fun, I think that's definitely going to bring a lot of stress into a photo shoot, or maybe onto the person being photographed or onto you. So when you're constrained by rules, you kind of lose the art, and so that's why I always say you have a lot of creative license. You're the designer, and so you can kind of go with the vision and ideas in your head rather than being constrained by so many rules. And think about what inspires you and incorporate those elements. So if you're the designer, you have a shop. It's really all about what inspires you, and so incorporating that into your brand, into your designs, into your pictures for conveying really who you are, I think is so important, so that when people see those pictures, or even when people see you, they know what inspires you, they know who you are. People like always know that I love old-fashioned things because of how I dress, and so they always see that about me, because that's kind of how I tend to present myself. Also stay loose and carefree to keep the mood light. So if you're going out to do a photo shoot, I love the idea of taking a friend along. When I go out to take pictures for my blog, it's usually just me, my camera, and my tripod, which I do like because sometimes that makes me feel more comfortable. I've gotten really comfortable on being alone taking pictures, because when I work with a photographer, sometimes I feel awkward, unless it's a friend. But if you're going out to do a photo shoot, it's great to bring a friend along, because that friend can help with things, but they can also be in the background doing goofy stuff to make the model feel more comfortable, to maybe get some fun, laughing and smiling pictures out of it. So anytime I've done like senior pictures for friends, I always brought another friend along, and so they were really great on making my other friend feel really comfortable in front of the camera and kind of forget about that we're taking pictures if someone isn't completely comfortable with that. And plus it makes it a really fun affair. If you have this, bring a ton of friends, go do a fun photo shoot, it just makes it a really fun outing. And then last but not least, stand by your convictions. So I think it's so important to really focus on what you're passionate about, what you're focused on. Definitely all of us are really passionate about modesty, and so always making sure that that's a key component of things that you're photographing, things that revolve around your brand. So if someone wanted you to do something that you weren't necessarily comfortable with, don't do it, because that will present itself in your pictures and in the things that you do, because people will probably be able to see, she wasn't really comfortable doing that. So always do things that you're okay with and that are comfortable. I just use this picture as an example because it's fun props that match the print of a dress and a really big smile. So this picture really makes me happy. You can't see on here, but her dress has paper airplane print, and so she incorporated a paper airplane prop into her picture. And then she just has this really big smile, and so I feel like it's just super fun. It's kind of very lighthearted, and I kind of feel like it takes you back to your childhood in a way, with like paper airplanes and all those things. So sometimes interpret your design with the accessories and props you use. So if you have like a novelty print, print on a dress or a skirt or a top, maybe take that and build your vision and your setting and your accessories around that. Okay, any questions so far? No? Okay, so this next one is styling a skirt 4 ways. This is the skirt I'm wearing today, so now you are going to see it styled 5 ways. So this is the first example. So I just styled it with like a denim button-up and a hat. It's pretty simple and laid back. Nothing too fancy, but gingham definitely goes really well with denim. Honestly, this is the most worn skirt in my closet. It's basically a neutral for me because I wear everything. I styled it with a graphic tee This one has a lot of elements, and I think this is a really good example of showing how you can incorporate a lot of things into a photo. So I have a graphic t-shirt, a denim jacket, so we have some layering there. I have a pink neck scarf, which is an accessory. I have sunglasses, which are an accessory, fun lace-up shoes, which just add a really fun, unique dimension to it, and then I have to hold my coffee. So that just has a really fun, like, laid-back story to it, but it also has a lot of different elements and layering to it. This one is a good example of really utilizing your props to have fun. And so I had this really fun Instagram novelty purse. And so in some of the pictures I was just holding it, but then I thought, why not utilize it? So I know a lot of bloggers who, if they have novelty purses, they're kind of play into that. So if their purse is a camera, they pretend it's a real camera. And so just having fun with the things that you're using really kind of conveys a really fun picture. And then this one, I went a little bit more southern. So I feel like the white picket fence, like my setting, really kind of takes you back to the south. Gingham is very southern, and then I have a ladylike, really classic blouse, and then I add the sun hat. So to me, this one kind of really takes me back to like a southern style. And so that's one skirt, styled 4 ways, 5 if you count what I'm wearing today. And so that just shows you how you can take one piece and just mix and match and use different things. And then that's also my Etsy shop Instagram thing. But I put together some sets. So rather than like working with a mannequin and clothes, because I didn't know how to have enough time, I put together some sets of some visions I had and utilized different props and accessories to kind of convey that idea. So this one, going with another Parisian chic theme. When I think of Paris, I think of really classic silhouettes. I think of stripes. So I'm utilizing a striped skirt, a classic silhouette in the skirt, a neck scarf, because to me neck scarves are very like Italian or European. Unique flats worthy of exploring a city, so I chose Esmeralda lace-ups, and then, or espadrilles, that's actually how they're pronounced, red lipstick because it's very classic. So sometimes when it comes to styling, it's like a whole head-to-toe thing. So it's not just the outfit you're wearing, it's maybe your hairstyle or your headband or the jewelry you're wearing. So just think about the little things, because even the littlest things can add so much to the story. Pearl jewelry, this is very classic, and pearl earrings or necklaces go with everything. A vintage style sunglasses, and they're also polka dotted, so you kind of play in with the different prints there, which I thought was really fun. A small but unique handbag, and maybe add a vintage magazine or map depending on like the direction you're going. So for this, I kind of thought if I was in Paris and I was exploring, what would I want to wear? Because I love to dress for where I'm going. So my mom and my sister always make fun of me because if I know we're going to the museum, I will pick out an outfit that I know will match the museum so I can take pictures. And so they always get mad at me because I know that they'll have to take pictures, but they've kind of come to understand that's just my mindset now. So what else like could you add to this? Do you have something else that you would add, something you would change?
Baguette.
Yes, you could add in food. Food or drinks are really fun, so yeah, definitely. Or you could take this picture in like a market and have like French bread out of a bag or something. You can definitely tie that into it. Great idea. Okay, so this one is an afternoon tea. And so I thought this, you know, if you have a tea party, I think it should be in a garden, and I really think of pastel prints. And so I kind of put that into the outfit. So I think this is like magnolia flowers maybe, which I really love, with the light blush pink in the dress. So we have a floral dress, pastel colors, a cardigan or shrug if it gets like a little chilly. It also adds a little layering. Garden-worthy shoes. You have to kind of think of logistics sometimes. Pointy toe heels aren't going to work in the garden because you're going to sink in the ground, so you kind of have to go with wedges. So that's kind of a really great thing to think about. A pearl necklace, a southern hat, and then a teacup prop, because if it's a tea party and you're wanting to convey that in your picture, you kind of have to have something that shows you're having a tea party. Or you could be standing by a table that's completely like set for tea. So maybe what else could you add?
A lace parasol.
Yes, exactly. You could add these gloves. Yeah, you can take it the whole 9 yards. So You have so much creative freedom to add and subtract whatever you want. But great idea. This one is kind of just a beach theme. So day at the beach, I decided to go kind of with natural flowy fabrics. Because when I think of the beach, I think of just really light, natural flowy things. So a maxi skirt or a cover-up. Fringe, tassels, and woven material. So all this material is kind of linen in a way, and so it's very like natural. You have the woven bag, you have like the details on the sandals. So I think that really adds to this whole beach thing. Very earthy tones, it's very like muted things, down to earth. Sunglasses, because if you're at the beach it's really sunny. Sandals, and then a beach bag that could also double as a purse. So what else could you maybe add?
A big floppy hat.
Definitely. Yep, absolutely. Sure. Okay, the next one's probably my favorite because I would totally wear this every day. The perfect picnic. I'm kind of obsessed with gingham, but it kind of goes with everything. So if you're kind of going with a picnic theme, why not wear a picnic blanket as a dress? Go with a picnic print, so it's like a gingham dress. And then we're gonna add in like all of our different props. So gingham print dress or skirt, a denim accent as a jacket. Denim goes really well with gingham, so I love pairing them together. If we got cool or a sunny, you could wear that, and it just adds a fun, different layer and kind of dresses down the dress. A brown belt makes the dress more casual, so belts are another really great accessory to utilize. And then espadrille sneakers, so instead of wearing just like normal sneakers, kind of take a unique twist on sneakers themselves. Quirky sunglasses, so these are Rhodamite polka dot heart sunglasses, which are super fun. You're kind of mixing with those prints, so sometimes if you don't want to do a print as a shirt, a print as a skirt, maybe in your accessories choose a different print, and you can kind of mix and match with that. A picnic basket, because if you're doing a picnic photo shoot, you have to have that. Summer flowers, because those are a must. A picnic blanket, so if you wanted to do like an entire picnic spread, that'd be really fun for a photo shoot. And then what else could you add or change maybe?
Food. Right.
Yeah, you could set up the entire spread, like that'd be a super fun photo shoot. Like have all of the stuff there, it'd be perfect. I really love this one, it's kind of my typical like college look. So Nancy Drew-esque. This is also like 1960s inspired, which I really love. Because it's simple and it's really fun and easy to take from your closet. So really simple style skirt, so hip pleat or A-line skirt. A classic print, so like polka dots or plaid, really add to that time period and add to like the classicness of it. A solid sweater shirt, so I love taking my plaid skirts or polka dots and adding like a short sleeve sweater top to that. Not supposed to go to that yet. Okay, cardigan to throw over your shoulders if you wanted to. I didn't put that in my set. A neck scarf, because a neck scarf is a really fun accessory. That's definitely one thing you kind of have to get used to. I don't wear them all the time because sometimes I'm not comfortable wearing them. Not a lot of people wear them, but it's really fun if you can implement it into your look. Loafers or Oxfords. I love loafers, so if I wear this on campus, I really look like an old-fashioned person, but honestly, that is probably the one look that I'm the most comfortable in, just because it's so much like me. Glasses, if you wanted to do like a fun photo shoot, glasses are a really fun accessory, especially if you're going for something very schoolgirl, something very scholarly. So I don't wear glasses, but I have 2 pair of fake glasses that I love to wear all the time. So I was always mad I didn't have to have glasses, so I just got fake ones. A locket or novelty necklace. So if you really wanted to go Nancy Drew theme, you could get a magnifying glass necklace. I've seen this in some styles, which is really fun. But I think lockets are a really great way of kind of making something old-fashioned and adding a really delicate accessory. And then you could also add in a book or books, because that's just a really fun prop. So what else could you maybe add to this?
So did you take all the photos for that, or how did you?
For these, I'm about to talk about that because it is a resource you will probably fall in love with.
Okay.
So next, it's called Polyvore. And so you go and create sets. So these are all your different categories. So like tops, outerwear dresses. You can even search. You could search for checkered skirt, and it will pull up all of the options for checkered skirts. A lot of the things are like things you could actually go to the site and buy. Most of them are like super crazy expensive, but I just use them for like the prints or the styles I want. So if you have an idea in your head before you maybe put it into a photo shoot, you can go and you can add in your accessories, your shoes, your purses, your props, and kind of see how it works together. So I love this tool. You can spend hours on here and not even realize it. But it's just really fun to put together an entire look. Even if you don't have those clothes in your closet, but you're thinking about an idea in your head, like, oh, I might want to make this outfit, but will it go together? So you can go play with it before you even make it, and then if you fall in love with it, then you can go ahead and make it. So it's called Polyvore. You just create an account, you make sets, you save them.
Is it legal, like, to post, like, on Instagram?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, pretty sure.
Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah, I have you. If you search on Pinterest,
Even though it's somebody else's item in a photo.
I'm pretty sure it is. Because if you search on Pinterest, you'll find a ton of sets. And a lot of bloggers use this to create like sets for their blog and stuff. And you can even search specific brands and then like link those if they're things that are actually in the store. So like these are examples of different sets I created. The first 5 are the ones I use today. But you can get like super in depth. You can add backgrounds in different colors, or you can do, it's super simple. You can do multiple ideas. These last 2 were ones I had to do for my sewing class, so we had to create a trend board. So I chose mixed prints and scholarly plaid, and then from that we had to design an outfit and then sew it. But Polyvore is probably your new best friend for creating things. And I don't think we'll have enough time to do the other thing, unless we want to do it like over lunch or something. Because I was going to have us kind of create ideas for a photo shoot based off of like a piece we designed or some pieces I printed out. So at lunch, if we want to do that, I'm totally up for us like playing around with ideas for photo shoots and how we would style things. So that is the end of that. But any questions?
So, from the photography standpoint, you do it all yourself, like with the tripod?
95% of the time, yes.
So did you just learn that yourself?
Yes, it's a lot of trial and error. I use like a plug-in handheld remote, so it's like super long. I used to just do a self-timer, so I would like put my purse on the ground, focus on my purse, make my camera go back up to where I was standing, so it would be in the focal area that I was standing, and then do the self-timer, run for the 10 seconds, pose, and have it take 4 pictures. And so I still utilize that a lot. So you kind of have to play around with focusing on an object first and then going and standing in the area, because sometimes you won't be in the area that it's focused in. But then a lot of times I use my handheld remote so it actually focuses on me. But that's probably taken at least 2 years of figuring out how to take really good pictures. Getting a new camera lens completely changed my life, because I got a 50mm 1.8, which is the one that makes the backgrounds blurry. And so now my pictures look like someone took them for me, and it makes me so happy. So yeah, about 95% of the time I take my own pictures. Sometimes I'll get my family to, but I've become so comfortable with it that if someone else takes my pictures, I usually don't like them because they don't know what's in my head. And so if I can just have the power over that, then I know exactly where I want to put my camera. And so yeah.
Did you just learn it? So you just learned it self-taught?
Kind of, yeah. I got a camera like 4 or 5 years ago. It's like the most basic Canon. Well, probably not one of the most basic Canons, but DSLR-wise, it's like one of the most basic ones. One of the ones you get like in a kit, so it comes with like 2 lenses. It's probably like $200 or $300. But yeah, it works for everything I need to. So just the more you go out and practice for any of this, for styling, for pictures, get together with friends, the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get, and it'll become like second nature to you. So.
Okay. Do you use a photo editing?
I do.
Photoshop?
I used to use, if you want to write this down, I used to use Be Funky. It is free online. It has a lot of really great like things you can do, like brightening, sharpening, cloning. So if you have something that's like messed up, you can clone something to cover it. And it's free online. It's super great. I also use Pixlr to create collages, and I use that too for logos to make things like transparent in the background. But then about 6 months ago, I bought Lightroom, and so I use that all the time now. That is like $10 a month, but for the things I can do with it, I really like it. So
Is that easy to learn?
Yeah, Lightroom is way easier than Photoshop.
Overwhelmed by Photoshop. It's like,
No, yeah, me too.
It's too many
I went and took pictures with a friend at school, and he uses Photoshop, I use Lightroom. It has a lot of the same things that Lightroom does, but it's not as easy to work through. Like Photoshop, I never understood it, but
Yeah.
Lightroom is pretty simple.
Okay.
Like you can get really technical and in-depth and get filters and different packs for pictures, but I just use like the regular editing things.
I think I've used like PicMonkey too,
Yeah,
and that's, yeah.
that was a really great option too, so yeah. Definitely the photography thing is like learned and practiced, but it will get way better after time, so yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, well thank you for letting me share this talk.